Well, the boys, as you've probably read and heard, the boys have all got their own individual fitness plans. We've actually taken them down this week because we were expecting to be back in probably any time now towards the end of April. But the earliest we can be in, as you know, is the 16th of May. So we've taken them down for a week rather than run the lives at them, and then they're pretty fatigued just from running up and down grass pitches and hills by the time they come in. So that's been down. But obviously, I've been involved in a lot of stuff for the chairman in terms of contracts going forward. I've been involved with all the stuff that's now coming out from the PFA and the EFL and things like that. So it's been very busy, but with nonsense behind the scenes, Henry, as opposed to the stuff that we like to focus on. And last couple of weeks before that, guys, was taking on looking at all the footage of our current games. So we're making sure that what our opinions are, we're seeing when we go back and watch the footage. And obviously a lot of footage of players that we are interested in. If depending on what league we're in, of course, there's two options. We can sneak into the playoffs and there might be a magical finish if the season's going, or it could be back in League One trying to be a proper in the top six all the time. So we've done a lot of work on the players as well, Henry. So and speak to Max every day and speak to different boys different days just to make sure that they're in good spirits.
Nice one. Right, let's get straight into it then. Let's go with Lewis first. Lewis, you're up.
Hello, Lewis.
Hello, Steve. Thank you for setting this all up, and thank you for coming on. My question for you is: obviously, you've managed at many different clubs with different sizes. How have you dealt in terms of ambition and the fan bases and the club size? Obviously, going from without any disrespect to Crawley or Mansfield or us to a club like Leeds, how have you dealt with difference in size and expectation?
Yeah, I think it's pretty difficult. I don't see much of a. I think I see the Gills almost like Rotherham, almost like the Millers for size. Because I think if you put the success into Gillingham that Rotherham and that had when I was there, we'd be getting 10, 11, 12,000 every week, and I genuinely believe that up into the Championship self-generates that as well because of the size of clubs in there. I think the difference is when you go to somewhere like Leeds, you possibly don't realise, and I did, how big it is, Lewis, until you get in there. And there's certain little benchmarks you can consider. When I do a press on a Thursday or a Friday, it would probably echo the same as a Rotherham. It would be probably Sky if they were doing it particular, but certainly lots of views, Sky TV, and probably 3 or 4 reporters maximum. So it'd be 5 or 6, and that would be the same at Rotherham, and it would be less or so at Crawley, and it's less within the levels. It would be, you very seldom get a television at Crawley unless it was a cup run, so it would be probably a couple of reporters maximum in one radio station. I think when you go to Leeds first time, forget the early days when it's a new manager and they all come, but when it's settled down, there would have been Leeds TV, which has 80,000 subscribers a week. So you need to do something every day for that, and that's whether it's players, yourself, and your staff. But your weekly press conference, if you were going Saturday to Saturday, would probably be on the Thursday, and there would be anything from 20 to 50 in the room. So it would give you an example that that's just the sheer size, and then and everything manifests itself. It goes with a club the size of Leeds. You have to attend a lot more meetings and get involved with travel arrangements, police arrangements, escorts to grounds, escorts out of grounds. I don't know if that's just because it was Leeds, but you know what I mean. But just if you can imagine, Alex once told me something that when I went with Crawley, one of the little things he said to me is the only difference between Crawley and Man United is the zeros on everything. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, if you think about it, you get 2,000 gates, we get 78,000 gates or 80,000. We pay our players £1,000 a week. We pay our players 100,000 a week at a time. So it was just zeros and everything. And I think when you go into Leeds, probably the power of Leeds. When I got the Rotherham job, you get any job. When I got the Gills job, you get a lot of phone calls from football, a lot of texts, a lot of messages, WhatsApps, etc. from people. And again, when I actually got the Leeds job, I had phone calls from Sir Alex, from Jose, from Wenger, from probably 7 or 8 Premier League managers at the top level. all of the Championship, you're suddenly one of the biggest clubs. So there's a big difference from that to being at a Rotherham or Gillingham. But if you never forget your roots and never forget where you come from, it's never a problem. You still have to have the same buzz come 5-3 that you want to win that game more than anything, and you want the 3 points. And I didn't kick off any less at Crawley to what I do at Gillingham to what I did at Leeds. If I feel the decision should go away, then I go for it. So just the sheer size of everything around it, Lewis, when you go somewhere like Ellen Road.
Yeah, because I think that, like what you said, you don't really I'm obviously I'm not a football manager, but you don't really like Leeds are a huge club, so going from it must be very different at Crawley to Leeds, but as long as you just stay the same, then
yeah, I think you see it in stages. I went from Crawley, went to Rotherham, and I dropped back a league because we just about to go up to League One. I went back in a team that was 18th in League Two. And the prime reason for that was the chairman, really, was Tony Stewart. I was speaking to him today. He's a great man, and the build of a new stadium. And he was ambitious, and he wanted the Championship in 2 years, and was prepared to back it as best he could. And once we were one of the top players in the league, we were certainly in the top 6 for sure. And we got those back-to-back promotions. So probably with the fact that I had almost 2 years in the Championship with Rotherham, then gives you a lot of opportunity to be ready to go to a league because you've played them a couple of times, you've played all the other big boys in the Championship, but it's everything is just in a much bigger scale. But believe me, it doesn't matter whether you support Crawley Town or still or whether you Rotherham, and all the clubs I've managed, I've got a lot of affinity for Mansfield. You know, when you didn't win, then people would let you know when it wasn't good enough, and that should never change in football. It's the same at Leeds.
Yeah. Thank you for answering my question.
We'll go to Steve next.
Yes, nice to talk to you, Steve. First question was: is there a player since you arrived that's particularly surprised you? Maybe you didn't fancy him when you arrived, but he's proved you wrong.
Oh, that's a good question. Because I can't say Jack Tucker that surprised me because he was just on a list to be the league. I hadn't seen him, but when you see him, so it wasn't so much of a surprise. I think there's a few people had really good seasons. Like Barry Phillips had a really good season. He's probably played more games than Barry thought, than I thought, than anyone thought probably back last summer when I walked in. But I think who's probably gone to a different level is probably Conor Ogilvie, to be fair. I think he was, I said it at our first fans forum at the Gills, as you know, in the big room, that Conor would never play left back for me because I'd watched him play left back for the Gills and I thought he was pretty rubbish. And I thought he was costing the team. And but then you don't realise what the instructions given. You don't realise how he's been asked to play in the role, etc. Steve. So we seen him more of a centre back at the time. We played him there, and then just the opportunity we played a 3 at the back one day in training, and he was more in the left back position than centre back, and we put him the following day into the left back slot, and he was excellent. Then we worked on a little bit for a couple of weeks with him, and he's gone to a level that said he could Lewis asked him at Leeds. Conor could play at Leeds for sure. He could play at any top club in the Championship, if not probably the bottom end of the Premier League. He's got all the attributes, and he has a heart the size of Big Ben and a desire to be successful. So in terms of degrees of how much people are surprised us, I would probably say Conor Ogilvie.
Anything else, Steve?
That was my other question. Oh yeah, my other question was Regan Charles Cook. For me, every time he plays, he looks bright, he looks creative, he looks technically good. And he's probably played less than I would expect him to play. Any particular reason for that?
Yeah, I think I've had this conversation with Regan. Really, I think if you look at Regan when he's been introduced to play a part of the game, he's been pretty exceptional. He's always come on and made a manifest difference to the team. I think when he started games, he's not as been effective,
Right.
And that can come from. And Regan's a young player that I really like. I like him as a person as well. But that can also start from some players who start games who think, right, I've got to last 90 minutes here. I've got to be running hard in the 90th minute. You need to start games and build your match fitness levels up that you can play for 90 minutes. It sounds easy, but you need to build that up. It's why you the top players, they maybe been out a while, and the manager will play them for 70 minutes or 65 minutes, and they'll take them off because the chances of them reoccurring of their injury they just come back from, but other injuries is quite high. So I would think Reagan has to focus on doing at the start what he's been doing when he's come on for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. He's come on like a little Duracell. I've got things to do, I've got things to prove. And, he's got all the attributes to be a really, really good player, Reagan. So he just needs to do it more throughout the game rather than just in spells near the end of the game.
Okay, lovely.
Well, good. We'll go to Taylor next.
Oh, thank you for this, Stephen.
You're welcome, Taylor.
What's the biggest obstacle you faced managing Gillingham?
I think in terms of just sheer to be in the playoffs, a fight for promotion, you would say the biggest obstacle would be budget, wouldn't it? If I said to you, you're going to go and be manager of Gillingham and you've got a budget of £1 and the nearest one you's got £1.50 and all the way up to 20 quid, you'd be saying, well, how can I build the same team as the guy with 20 quid? Because I'd like to sign him. And I know we're all football managers in our own right. It doesn't matter whether you're me or the guys on here. We all have preferences for players and picks, and that's why if you ever sit down and do fantasy football or pick a team on your is it Xbox? Not Xbox, is it Xbox? So when you pick a team and you pick certain players and you've got a budget to do it, it's why you probably sitting there when you get beaten, you go, I wish I'd signed him and he would have cost me another £1 million, but I had to let him go. And so the biggest difficulty to get into the playoffs is but that's always been seen for me is that only offers so much of an excuse. What you have to just make sure is that you spend every penny of the club's money as best you can, and we don't get all our recruitment right. I don't think many managers do in terms of get it all right, but we've had a lot of it right. Now we need to be the difference in this window if we ever get the season finished and our transfer window briefly to start again. Then we're very clear of the plans we'd like to bring in. We know the costings involved in that because we've done our homework. I'm speaking to the chairman today. So will we be better? Yes. The only thing you don't know is how much other people are going to be better. But if the benchmark was today, we'll be a good 10, 15 points better than what we were this year.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
Anything else for you, Taylor?
Obviously, we've lost the second least amount of games in League One this year, just behind Coventry. And we've also drawn 15 games, which is the highest, I think, in League One. What will will you be recruiting to change some of those draws into wins next year?
Yeah, I think we would all accept that there was 2 or 3 games that are completely still doing my head in. Both when we were game. First game we could have won as easy as you could win a game. Second game we didn't deserve anything. Probably a draw was fair, even as bad as we were. They were as bad that they beat us. And the game at Tranmere and the game at home to Blackpool, they're just games that stick in my head. Even if you change nothing else, you'd be saying, well, that's 10 points, in which case we'd be in the play. And but I suppose every club I can look back and say, well, we should have won that game. We didn't deserve to win that game. I think we'd accept we've dominated a lot of games and not killed teams off when we had the opportunities. And that comes from scoring goals. And what you learn in League One, if you want to go and shop for the best strikers, the best strikers normally cost money. So if you look at the boys at Coventry, Matty Godden, I signed Matty from Stevenage. He was a £900,000 transfer to Coventry plus massive wages. You go down a step from that. You look at Rotherham, who's in second. They've got Calvazel, they've got Smith. They're all on probably 3 times what our highest earner is, if you like. So there's degrees. What you have to come across is somebody who is a Tom Eaves, who had hardly scored a goal before he joined the Gills, and then suddenly he found a ratio to score goals. With 2 in credit, and had a good season as well, Tom. I had Tom on loan way back at Rotherham when he was a kid, and I never thought he'd be a goal scorer then, to the degree he turned into Gillingham. So I think sometimes you come across those little nuggets when you manage, and what we've got to do is we've got to find someone who can score on a regular basis, whether it be a Hanlon, whether it be a Mandrin, whether it be a Kindy getting firing. He's had the chance to get fit and he wasn't fit. So whether it be one of them or we'll still be trying to find them.
Okay, thank you, and also thank you for making this season more enjoyable than last.
Oh, no, you're welcome. You're welcome, bud. You're welcome.
Gaffer, you mentioned about the strikers there. How much of it is luck as well? So, like, if a striker scores in his debut and they get a bit of momentum, how important is that?
I think it's more momentum than luck, Henry. I think a striker will get lucky once or twice a season when someone ricochets to him in the box and he's on his own, he taps it in, or the goalie dives over it when he fluffs his shot. I think they're elements of luck, but there's not many strikers that play at a level who consistently score goals. Who just stop scoring goals. Normally, a goal scorer is a goal scorer. Probably I'd look at young Kieran Agard. We had him at Rotherham. He got 32 goals, but we played him wide right, very advanced, almost like a Jermaine McGlashan role, right up on the right-hand side. And he gets 30-odd goals. And since then, he's not replicated that because we felt when we played him up front where Kieran wanted to play, then he just didn't get the chances that he got arriving late into the box from wide right. He just had that striker's knack of getting, and people would say, us as well, many a goal we scored late to win games, and we were saying, what's he doing there? What's he doing on the left-hand side of the box, 10 yards out, and the ball dropped it. But he had that knack of being a goal scorer. So that doesn't leave you. What leaves you is if a manager changes your position because he bows to you. Kieran wanted to play up front, and managers have succumbed to him. When I spoke to him last summer, he was going to be playing on wide right. Maybe that's why he didn't sign.
Before we go any further, what are you drinking tonight?
Diet Fanta.
Oh,
But in fairness, I'm going to have a Moretti soon as we finish.
yeah, convenient. That's convenient. I don't know what's happened to you. This lockdown's getting to your head, I think.
It's getting to me. Don't get me wrong. I'll have 2 or 3 Morettis, and I'll have to sit there with the missus, like I said earlier, and just endure nonsense on the telly. If I watch another cookery program, I don't know what I'm going to do. I give up. The nice thing is she's not a big soap fan, so we get at the soaps.
You're lucky man. All right, we'll go and get on with the questions. Let's go to Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hello, mate. All right. Wondering if you can give us a bit of insight into the scouting network as it stands, both sort of locally and nationally. There's been a few players recently, last few years that I can remember, that have come through the Kent sort of non-league scene, gone on to other clubs that we've sort of missed out on. So just wondering what the setup is, whether you've brought that in yourself this season, and is it something that you're looking to sort of develop in the next year that you're at the club as well?
Yeah, it's a good point, Jim. Well, we've got 4 people. We've got one who works almost on a national basis, and he controls the 3 guys. That's one in the north, one sort of Midland side, and one around Maidstone, Kentway. And we're like you. What wouldn't sit with me very well is if we say players go from, a Dover, a Folkestone, a Dealtown, anybody, and end up getting into a level or higher and doing very well. We need to be on top of it. Myself and Paul Rayner challenge them. We look at all as best we can, the non-league paper and the non-league reports on a Sunday and a Monday. And anyone who's of the age profile that we want to become the non-league, who's doing those stats, Jim, scoring goals or defending or getting mentioned of clubs being interested, then we should be watching him within these next 2 fixtures. And then we have to rely on our people that look at games for us and look at players for us, is to see whether the next appointment should be Paul Rayner and myself going. So, and we've ruled out a lot of players in Kent that's been recommended to us at Folkestone and Dartford and in different places. But when we've actually looked at them, we've said, well, given the whole what we've got, given who we're looking at, are they better than them? And the professional opinions had to be no. But we should really be having 3 or 4 in local football, 2 or 3 non-league. But it's about, even if lads phone up Jim and say, I'll do it for expenses or fuel only, which some of them do because they just love the game, it's still very difficult sometimes to go to your chairman and say the expenses scouts for the scouts expenses this one chairman are £2,000 or 1,800 quid or something. It makes him think, what have we found? We've not found in this month. Next month, not found in, and it can go on like that. So it's normally through word of mouth, normally through reports of players doing well, brings them to your attention.
Okay, cool.
Anything else for you, Jim?
Hypothetical question. Scally wins the Euro Millions. He's got millions to spend. where do you improve this as a club? I'm not talking about what playing staff. So off the pitch, is there anything that you'd implement? So be it better training facilities, or if we had the resources that Leeds have got, what is the first thing you'd implement?
Yeah, I think if somebody come in with that kind of money or win the Euro Million, your infrastructure would go up, wouldn't it? You'd purchase a training ground. I don't know if you've been at a training ground, Jim, but you purchase the top end of the bottom end. You would do the building appropriately. You probably add another one for the youth side to make sure there's continuity throughout the club. And you just take
at the moment, are they all training on Beecham's Cross, or all of the youth teams and the first team all together?
Yeah, we've got our youth team at Beecham's Cross, and we've got the first team, and we've got the kids on there on a Sunday, the younger age groups, and then in the week they do their academy training down at Canterbury, which I've been doing on 3 or 4 occasions, and just walk around and have a look. But it's probably, for all being honest, too far away from Gillingham. If you're a parent, it's a massive commitment to say I'm going to drive my kids to Canterbury 2 nights a week, and perhaps on a Sunday, or away games on a Saturday and a Sunday. It's pretty demanding. We'd love an infrastructure that says we could be somewhere within a 15-20 minute drive of Gillingham is where we should be, but just through circumstances and through facilities and costs, we have to use the uni at Canterbury.
Cool. All good for you, Jim?
Yeah. Cheers, pal.
Nice.
Thanks, Jim.
But you also give the media department a bit of a bigger budget as well, Steve, yeah, while you're at it?
No, I'd chop every one of you.
Yeah, I heard about that. All right, we'll go to Lewis Browning next.
Hi,
Yeah.
Lewis.
Hi, Steve. Yeah, thank you again for this. A bit of a player-focused question. I wanted to ask about Cisse, because I think his time at Gills has been a little bit strange. When he signed, I believe he said something along the lines of he was the missing piece or something like that, because you spoke so openly before about how open the midfield was last season. And I just wondered what happened, really, because he played the first couple of games. Admittedly, I didn't think very well, but he sort of disappeared. I just wondered how your plans changed so early.
Well, no, I think we got Hussein on. He's a good player. He's technically very good. We obviously at that time, when I signed us, didn't think I could get Alfie Jones. Alfie Jones I tried to get when I first came into the club, almost within days of me signing Connor. And I think Southampton weren't sure whether they were letting Alfie and Tommy out at that stage. I think it started, but I think when we get Alfie in, the circumstances around us changed. I think he's a confidence boy. He likes to be playing. He likes to know he's playing. It's just some players are like that. And with the form that Alfie was in, and I don't think you could see himself very similar in terms of whether they play on the pitch, not style. I don't think you can see himself in. So his performance and training, because of his mindset, decreased a little bit. And sometimes that's the opposite to what you need. You need your mental application to be stronger and tougher. And then for a number of weeks, he was keen to go on loan, and been in the office a few times. And a couple of opportunities I had to go north in the conference, one in League Two as well, back in the early January. He didn't want to do that. And then when Leighton Orient came up, then he just found it was perfect for him. He still lives in Gillingham. He's still in Kent, so he goes across to Leighton Orient, but he's doing really well there, and I didn't expect anything else. He's a good kid. He's technically good, but he just lost his way a little bit because of the form of Alfie, I think.
Okay, and it does sort of lead into a question I've got coming up. But do you think, because obviously Alfie's only on loan, do you think it could be different next year? Because I think I said before that Cise's out of contract as well.
Yeah, I think Alfie. I think Southampton will make a decision. Him and Tommy and a couple of others that we asked about. To be fair, you can only take 2, of course, from one parent club, but they've got some wonderful talent in there. But Alfie's loved every minute of it. I think that he'll sit down with his family. Alfie's a big family boy, as Tommy is. They're both big family boys. They'll sit down with their family after what's been outlined to them at Southampton. Is Alfie going to play for Southampton's first team next season? Possibly not. So what would his education be? Is there a loan move for the Championship to him? Maybe. If there's not, the one thing that these young loan players have to do is play. They have to play football. And it's not right a perception of a bigger club in League One coming in and saying, Alfie, you've done well last year, come with us. Alfie has to sit down and say, well, I think he's missed 1 game for the Gills, or 1.5 games since he was, of all the time he was available. So he knows he's had a good season, he knows he's well thought, and we would stand a good chance of bringing him back.
Yeah, and that does sort of lead on to my second question, because you've probably been asked it a million times, but with all the 5 players we've got in on loan at the minute, I rate them already highly. And in terms of next year, one, what do you think our chances are? And two, are you looking at, would you want to bring any of them back?
Yeah, I think in different ways. Each of the current loan players has did well for us. They've done well in spells, not always collectively. I think the two that stand out would obviously be Alfie and Tommy. Young Tommy's been incredible. He hardly played any 23 games when we brought him in. I think Ollie's got so much more to give. He's been dealing with a little niggling groin for a while, which can restrict you a little bit. It's not an excuse, it's just a restriction. But I think we'll have the option to bring back the bulk of our loan players if we want to, providing there's no bigger clubs with bigger opportunities for them. And that depends on others, really, not me.
Yeah, fair enough. And just finally from me, as you know, it's been openly reported in the press that you've sort of rejected offers for your own services at points this season. I just wondered a bit more depth if you were tempted and why you rejected those offers.
Well, I wasn't tempted. One was to go to manage a club in the Scottish Premier League. You look at the Scottish Premier League and you don't know unless you're up there how big the Scottish Premier League is, predominantly obviously because of Celtic and Rangers. When you add into that, from my perspective, being a Scottish boy, then the Aberdeen, the Hearts, the Hibs, they're big clubs. But it's never, since I've come to England over 30 years ago, it's never been a plan for me to go back and play my career, because all my family's from wife and children and all that are from around Peterborough. So it's never been a plan for me to go there. And the club that I could have gone to was fighting for survival in the league above. And I thought, no, one of the things that I spoke long and hard to the chairman about here when I first came in was about having a plan that wasn't 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, having a plan that we could take Gillingham to the championship, but in a controlled fashion and not putting the club at risk. And and everything we've done this season demonstrates to the chairman there's a capability of us getting into that top 6. And it's not always about money, although a little bit of moral help. But in these times, nobody knows where they'll be next season, Lewis, in terms of budgets and managers and players, because at this minute in time, football's up in the air, isn't it?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lewis.
All right, Adam, we'll go to Ian and then we'll go to Evan afterwards. So Ian first and then we'll go to Evan afterwards.
Hi, Ian.
Hi, Steve. Similar to Taylor, just a bit of a thank you, first of all. It's so nice every Saturday night to look upwards at how many points we are off the playoffs, who we've got next, rather than looking downwards and going, right, they've got them left. They've got, since the Justin year has probably been what we've been doing, which was an amazing year, but didn't quite end out the right way. My question to you, in my boredom, I don't know if anyone else on the call's watched it, but I've watched the Sunderland documentary, and obviously there's some very, very big numbers in there. Some ridiculous numbers. I'm sure Will Griggs is a great player, but 4 million and all sorts with that. Is there, with all the time you've been in football, has there been anything in your time at Gillingham where you've kind of put down the phone and maybe said to Steve or someone else, how does an agent want that much for that player? Or how is someone wanting that much a week in League One?
Yeah, I think very often last summer, very often in January, I think you inquire about a player, and I think they think sometimes I'm still at Leeds or I'm still at Rotherham in the Championship. We're what they want. But what we've always tried to do is we've tried to say, well, let's talk to the player, let's talk about football. But in the same token, Ian, there's no point in me travelling halfway up the country to talk to a player. That when I met the Southampton boys, I drove down and met Alfie, and I went down and met Tommy, and we spoke about football. And then we knew with Southampton there was a deal to be done. You have to get an idea whether there's a deal to be done. I went into Leeds when there was lads in the dressing room on 34, 35 grand a week. It's big money. And, and all the way down the scale as well. So, and you get to Rotherham where it's, when you enter the Championship and the highest paid player was probably 6 grand a week. So, and you're competing, and I think we beat Leeds and drew them away and beat them at home. So it gives you an idea as to, it's not always about money. Sean Dyche is a wonderful, wonderful saying, and he used it against me. We went with Leeds to play Burnley live on Sky the year Burnley came up, and they beat us 1-0. They scored after about a minute to go 1-0 up, and we towed them. Chris Wood is now a Burnley player, missed about 3 or 4 good chances. But after the game, I had a beer with Dyche, etc. But I come home later that night, and I watched the rerun of it, and then I watched Dyche's interview afterwards, and he said, we just found a way to win a match. And then I've listened to Sean Dyche in the Premier League, and he's got a great saying, which is we need to find a way to win. And that's what football is becoming now. Because from a manager's perspective, guys, it used to be 5-10 years ago, you'd win. And it was like, you'd phone the missus and say, come on, get your glad rags on. We're going to go for a bite to eat, and we'll have a couple of drinks, and we'll meet some friends, and you want a few beers. I think it's changed in the last 5 or 10 years, where it's you win a game and you go home. It's almost relief as opposed to enjoyment. And I think that's just because of the amount of managers regular that they get the sack, the amount of pressure that goes on the managers from quite rightfully supporters who pay their hard-earned money. So I think it's changed a little bit for me.
Probably just linked to that one, how close, it's a bit rose-tinted, but how close did we get with Matty Jarvis? Because obviously he's done lots of media and he's now gone with Woking, which I'm guessing is part-time. How close did we get with Matty? Was he not quite there injury-wise?
Yeah, well, I got in touch with Matty when as you know, he come in and we said, come in and train for 2 or 3 days and we'll make an assessment. I don't need to judge Matty Jarvis as a player. I've seen him make my fullback take tablets after games. He's turned them inside out several times. But Matty came in for a day and then disappeared for 2 days. Then called us up after the third day and went, I'm sorry, I couldn't make it. Someone come up. Wrong manager. And he's a terrific player, but wrong manager. I just said, well, someone's come up for me too tomorrow, so you can't come in. So it wasn't a fallout. It was just a case of he also come back at a certain level for Gills fans, because if you go back, you have to be better than or equal to what you were before, because everyone has this impression. And as you know, Ian, football can be a cool game. You can be a magician. You can leave that club and you can go away, and we've seen it with lots of players at different clubs. They come back and they're not the same. But fans remember the best, don't they?
Yeah, totally.
And it's the same with managers. As a manager, do you go back? It's always a big decision. How well did you do? Or well, the once or twice I had brief chats with Tony Stewart a bit going back to Rotherham after my time at Rotherham, and it was only outlines of chats. It was no job offers, nothing. And but we had an outline chat, and I always had in the back of my head, how can I do more than what I did? I joined them. They were 18th in League Two.
Promotions, yeah.
And back-to-back promotions, and then left them 14th in the Championship, having just beaten Middlesbrough at home, Cardiff at home, and gone to St Andrews and won 2-0. So it was how do you go and deal with that when you might know have signed a lot of the players that are now there because they wouldn't be your cup of tea as a manager. So it's same as a player, but Matty's a terrific talent. I would assume we Woking, there's a few lads down in the conference level who are getting a sore head on a Saturday when they play against it, because even when he trained with us, he did really well. He did really well. We just wanted to see that for 2 or 3 days. We could consider Matty's terrible injury problem. Yeah.
Anything else for you?
Just a real quick one in terms of across your whole time in football. Jim touched on this a little bit. There's lots of players, lots of opinions. I think the club years ago had Peter Beardsley on trial, deemed he wasn't good enough and he had a decent career. What's your one that got away? What's the one either as a kid or scouting where you and kind of Rains have looked at him and gone, nah, not for me. And then 3 years later you've gone, maybe not. Or are there none, Gaffer? Are there none?
Ian, never.
Okay.
And hey, listen, there's some players that's I think I've done a podcast with some other Scottish boy who was looking for a bit of help to do a little bit of interviewing stuff with him. I've done that last week with him, and I made the point. I said, when I was at Leeds United, Calvin Phillips was a real young player, 17, young player. And at that time, we was Cook and Sam Byron and Charlie all playing in the Premier League now, Chris Woods and different things. And Calvin was coming through and he was getting frustrated and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, he has gone to a level. If you'd have said to me, well, you've asked the question, Ian, what would be the player got away? He never got away, but he would be the player that's gone to a different level. I'm fortunate I get invited up to Ellen Road on a regular basis, and I go up and I watch that kid, and he is a top 6, top 8 Premier League player waiting to happen. Now, he's loved his Leeds United. It's through the middle of him, through the middle of all of his family. I think he'd take half the money to play at Leeds because that's what he's about, and hopefully he gets Leeds up. But he would be the one player that if you said who's gone to a level, me and Paul Reid have discussed this when we've sat at Ellen Road and watched Leeds away, and we've seen Calvin just take control of games and win them himself, control everything, and he would be the one player that's gone to a level where I didn't see him before.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice one. And then Evan?
Thank you for this opportunity, Henry and Steve. Going back to your appointment on the end of last season, start of this season, what was your first impressions on the squad, and did you feel there was any big changes you needed to make?
Yeah, I think we knew Evan. I'd watched 4 or 5 games for Gillingham home and away. Now, people, I think, because I came to a few games, thought Steve Evans is coming in, but it was far from that. It was Paul Scully phoned me up and invited me to a game, but so did Tony Stewart, so did Pete Wincombe, the chairman of MK Dons, so did Robbie Cowling, the chairman of Colchester, because you get to know these people, not because they want you as your manager. And really the first time that I spoke to the chairman about it was when he called me up and said, Steve Lovell's gone, he's walked out on me, it might have happened anyway, I'd like to have a chat with you. It was going to be a bit difficult because I'm in Dubai. and he said, well, I'm coming to Dubai on Wednesday. And that was our first chat. He came out to Dubai because he was staying there, as you know, at the time. And I didn't know this. And we met up for dinner and we had a chat. And that probably went on for about 10 days. And it goes back to the point I was making to some of the other guys, is that my biggest assurance was that it wasn't just going to be you've got the bottom budget in the league or the bottom 3 or 4, as the chairman told me, you've got a bottom 3 or 4 budget, and if you've not got us, the players are going to bin you. It couldn't be one of them. It had to be something that we could do it and reduce funds and reduce numbers, but we have to build something. And to be fair, the chairman's delivered everything he said he would when I come in. There's never been a case where he's promised me something prior to me coming in or since been in that he's not done it. And that doesn't. Sometimes the Scally hate brigade, if you call it that, are the ones that don't want the chairman there. They don't want to hear that, but it's the truth, and I can only find it how I see it. He's delivered exactly what he said he would to me, and I give him great credit for 25 years as chairman, 25 years his club's going, and I look at Bolton, I look at Bury, and there's been a load more before them that have been perilously close to the wall, and I look at him and I think he turns up and he gets on with it. And I think he's always said his judgment has been managers as opposed to everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just a case of is it going to be a project rather than something that's instant.
Mm-hmm. And one more question: who has been your player of the season so far?
I think I said at the forum that we had that one so long ago. It would have been Jack Tucker.
Oh, I've completely forgotten. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. But I think in honest, Evan, I would say there's a number of players in that would have been harsh on them. I think Ogilvy's been tremendous. I think Max Hamer said he's, and his own admission to me on the phone the other days, he said his best season of football. He's been outstanding. And I think Jack Bonham has made people forget Thomas Hawley. And I can remember saying to the chairman when I first came in, is there any way we can keep Thomas? I thought he was top class. And he went, sadly not. The chairman knew he was going to Ipswich and the big money and all the stuff that comes with getting a move to Ipswich. But I think Jack's helped as a group forget him as well. So there's been 4 or 5 really, really top performers all season, but we need to do it continuing towards the end of the season if we're going to go back, or if not, into next season.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Pleasure, Evan.
Steve, we had a guy called James who was going to come on, but then he couldn't make it. So I just got a couple of questions from him. And he wanted to know, how did you meet Paul Rayner?
How did I meet Paul Rayner?
Yeah, how did you get to know him?
Yeah, how I first came across him, I was manager of Boston, and we had started the season off with something like 7 or 8, 9 straight wins, and we went to play a little team called Ilkeston. And I had a boy in central midfield who was 17 years old called David Norris. And everyone was watching him, and he eventually got a little move to Bolton, and who were in the Premier League at the time. But he was a fantastic player. And excuse my French, guys, all Paul Rayner did all afternoon was kick fuck at him. He was playing for Ilkeston. And I thought, so we had a few verbals from the side, as you'd imagine I did. And 2 weeks later, we sold David Norris to Big Sam at Bolton. And I went to watch Notts County reserves on an evening on the Tuesday. And I was talking to a real trusted friend of mine, and he said, "Oh, you've sold the boy." I said, "Yeah." He said, "You should go and sign Paul Rayner." I went, "He played against us. All he can do is kick people." He said, No, that's how they play. He can play. And So we signed Paul Rayner, and he came and played for me for about a year and a half, and then we went full time. And Paul had a job; he was under 18 stroke reserve manager at Sheffield United with Warnock, so he went off to do that on a full time basis, and then nothing for a couple of years, and then we decided we're going to have a change room with the staff, and I rung Paul up at the Blue and I said, do you fancy this? And he said, well, absolutely, first team, yeah, absolutely, as opposed to under 23s or reserves. And that's when he came in as my number 2, long time ago. Henry, far too long.
And the other question he wanted to know was, in terms of pre-season, obviously you spoke about, I think to the press, about maybe getting a Premier League team down or getting some bigger teams down. How has all this coronavirus affected that in terms of getting teams down and what you do pre-season?
I think they're like us, the Premier League. Sadly, they don't know. I think we go back 4 or 5 weeks ago. We didn't think of coronavirus would be like this. People were planning for getting through at the end of the season, last assault on the players for us, or people trying to get promoted, avoid relegation. But back in February, March, guys, is when pre-season programmes get put together. The difficulty we had when we came into the Gills is our pre-season had been put together. We were going to Fulham, we were going to Dover, we were playing Dartford. That was it. Had to bring in Charlton and Millwall at late notice, really, through just by knowing the managers. And you know, so from that point of view, we have an agreement with a Premier League club. Whether that now changes, Henry, because they're telling us the plans are up in the air, same as us, really. So we need to wait and see where that goes.
Nice one. We've got about 5 minutes. I don't know if anyone else has got another question they want to ask. Anyone got a question?
Steve, have you done the down a pint challenge?
Challenge.
You have to down a pint. Have you done it?
No.
Oh,
I'm sure we could get that on the social media.
I'm sure I can get a little video in there for Henry. We doing a pint.
Yeah, we love that.
It's every night for you, Steve, isn't it? I think every night.
No, listen. It's since this lockdown's happened, I drink less because I used to be able to walk my little dogs and sneak off to the pub, as you know, and just tell the missus I'm going to walk the dogs. I'm sure she always knew I was nipping in for a couple of pints, but obviously on lockdown, there's no pub, there's no nothing, and she's got the beery eyes on me every time I go to the fridge. So, but yeah, I'll have a pint like you guys all will.
Anyone else? Anything else?
Steve, on that note, you're good at inviting all the fans into and stuff like that. So how about when we do get back and we do get in the grounds, you come down the Frog and Toad in Gillingham after a game. Make it a win. Make it a win. But you're good at inviting us to stuff. So I'll invite you. Come down the Frog and Toad. There'll be 10, 15 other Gills fans in there. There's a guy called Noddy. Ignore him. We don't like him. But come down and have a pint with us. Henry, you bring the camera down as well.
We used to, me and Paul Rayner used to have a little ritual at Rotherham and Leeds. Didn't always go down well here. But if neither of our families was at the game, if neither of them there, if we win, we went to a local pub and we picked a different one. And I must admit, there's some funny stories. I can remember we said, we didn't. I'm not a big, as Henry will back us up, I'm not a big city centre man. Let's go to the Flash pubs. I've never been that way. So we said, let's pick this little pub in Leeds, and it was a little pub called the Queen, something like that, but on the outskirts. But it was Drinkers Pub, and we're like dummied up with the fucking Leeds Blazers, aren't we? So we just got out Ellen Road, gone, parked the car, said, right, that's the night we're in, and so I've gone in there for a couple of pints. And this old boy must have been 70 something. They turned around and they went, I was at the game today. So I think, he fucking knows me, didn't I? I went, thanks. Wait, what are you saying fucking thanks for? I'm just telling you I was at the game. I went, yeah, I said, we played well, didn't you? He said, no, you Scottish bastard, I'm a Bradford supporter. I was devastated. So, yeah, but I've always, as Henry knows, I've always been one for going for a beer with the lads, and that long as it's sensible and nobody wants to smack me, so I'll take you up on that, Jim, for sure.
Good stuff, Henry. I'll give you a shout, mate. Let's get it done.
Don't forget about the factory.
Factory. Well, I said it. There was a game. I said if we win, let's get in the factory afterwards. We get fucking beat. So I was devastated. If I see it, Henry will tell you. If I see it, then I do it. Quite often, is the guys. Henry will tell you. Sometimes I come in on a match day and I go, if we win tonight, and old Malcolm who's retired and he always done my car, and bless him. And I'd say, Malcolm, they're my keys. If we're winning, Matt, if we win, get my fucking car on a sharp exit, rains or do the press. Because I've probably promised a couple of mates I'm going to be in for a beer by 70 of an hour before I get indoors with the missus. And so if I say it, I'll do it. So I'll come in here for sure.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Look forward to it, mate.
Now, how are you guys managing a lockdown anyway? Is it as tough as it is for everyone?
Horrendous.
It's very repetitive. Very repetitive.
I've been playing a lot of Football Manager and just running really.
Are you being successful though, Lewis?
I'm currently Northampton, so I'm in my second season. Didn't get the playoffs first season, but I'm top of the league now. So yeah, not too bad.
How long does it take to complete a season on that?
Really, it depends how much I'm playing it, to be honest. So if I play it because when I want to play Football Manager, I usually play it for quite a few hours. So usually, if I'm playing it if I'm playing 3 hours a night, it would take me about maybe 4 or 5 days to complete a season.
Wow. So would you play 3 hours a night? Would you?
Pardon?
Does anyone else play it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
I played it briefly.
I went Gills, got to the playoff final and lost in the 93rd minute and then got sacked.
Scally. Was it?
Yeah, well done, Scally.
Yeah. I'm not happy.
If I lost in the 93rd minute of the playoff final, Scally go up and said you're sacked. I don't know.
Throw your laptop out the window.
Do you think, Gaffer, that's almost his dream scenario? Because he's talked about how much it costs in the Championship. It's just ridiculous. If we got to the playoff final, yes, it'd hurt to lose, but we get the playoff final. We'll get 90,000 there. You'll suddenly see 45,000 Gills fans, and Henry's life will be hell for the 2 weeks before it.
Yeah.
Is that almost, you think, the chairman's dream scenario?
I think Ian, 100%. Our chairman would love. I mean, he loves an interview. He loves a photograph. He loves, he lives and breathes it in the other side of it. And Henry will tell you, he would love to be in it. When you win, Paul Scally's a bit than me. When you win, he comes into your office and he's so elated it makes his Saturday night and his Sunday. Not in terms of he's not a big drinker, the chairman and stuff like that, but he's just phones you up on a Saturday night. You're trying to watch match of the day and he's fucking rambling on about a tackle in the 93rd minute. And, yeah, all right, Chairman. Yeah, I've seen that, and but he would love to be in there. Every club's chairman wants to be as high as they can. Don't forget the financial rewards in the Championship as well. That's why we've got some of this mismatch now. We wages and deferments and whatever the players are getting and whatever they're doing. But I'm sure he would love to be there.
Is there any plans to do anything for Malcolm? Because he is a bit of a club legend. I was lucky enough to meet him once. Is there anything the club can do? Maybe first game back next year? Oh
yeah, I think there was a plan to have him back. And so he's a massive fan as well. He was always telling me on the way, he didn't go on the away games, but he was always by his radio and he's pacing up and down. And somebody wind him up and turned it down a bit when he'd gone for a wee or something. But he's there'll be something happening. Listen, he's from the minute I walked in, I love honesty. He come up to me the first day and he went, "Gaffer, you're the gaffer today. I don't know who the gaffer will be tomorrow, and I didn't care who it was last week. Every manager from me gets the same service. They get my loyalty and commitment." I thought, 83 years old. I thought, what an absolute gentleman. Do you know what I mean? And the lads don't, the lads are all good to him, or they were good to him. They were every week they were looking after him in a good way. So. But he deserved it. Good man.
Gaffer, we spoke about the playoff final and about but we wouldn't lose it, would we? You always said this. If we got to the playoffs, we'd win them, right?
We get in the playoffs, we win them. I think playoffs are cup tie football. When you play almost like cup tie football, we played Doncaster in the cup, didn't we? Beat them 3-0, beat Sunderland, drew away, win at home. I think cup tie football is a little bit different from league football, where it's a bit strategy. Cup tie football is there's no coming back, and that's what the playoffs are. And that's why a lot of clubs you see continually fail in the playoffs. They'll have a good season in the playoffs, and then they get beat at Wembley or they get knocked out in the semi-finals because they still think it's a fucking league game on Saturday. It's not. It's the playoff semi-final, or it's the second leg. You're not coming back. You're not happy with your draw and maybe nick it 1-0. doesn't happen. The team I was in the playoffs, we went to Preston, drew 1 each, beat them 3-1 at home, beating the Leighton Orient penalties, but every proper cup tie, three games, proper cup ties, and that's the difference in the playoffs to league games.